Welcome to the Moore edition of Varsity. I'm Ryan Aber, joined by Justin Harper. Justin, an unexpectedly tough week last week for Southmoore. Almost got beat by Lawton Ike, an under 500 Lawton Ike team in the first round. What's Southmoore's attitude like going into this week against Bartlesville?
Well, from top to bottom, it has to be different, but I think it will be because they want it to be different. They immediately started talking after the game, even though they just won a game with a field goal in the last 5 seconds. You'd think everyone was excited and things. The first thing Chris Jensen did is, we can't have another week like we did last week. And he was talking about mentally. He was talking about people missing practice. I mean, just top to bottom. And it's all the players felt it too, and it's led to some players speaking out at practice. And everyone on the team would say last week was like a lost week. Bad practices, people missing practice, overlooking the game, and then they were very fortunate to win the game.
And this week they play a Bartlesville team who has been really impressive. Lost a couple games in district play, but put up big points, including 40 on Jinx. Obviously, this Bartlesville offense has some firepower. How does Southmoore match up against that?
Well, and the fact that they beat Owasso, I think, will get Southmoore's attention even more than just the bad week last week. But Southmoore defensively has been good all season. People just don't notice it as much because the offense gets all the attention. But they have a lot of good players, and particularly their cover corners, Julian Wilson and Nico Simons, who could be on two of Bartlesville's top players. They will handle that. As far as the running game goes, you have LeBron Brown and Austin Haywood, a couple of George Millette. They're good linebackers and defensive ends up front. They stop the run well. So that's going to be a good showdown. I think Southmoore will do well handling the offense. The interesting thing is, will Southmoore's offense do well against their defense, because they've sort of gone conservative the last 5 games. They're running the ball more often than they're opening up the passing game.
And Austin Haywood missed last week's game. They've also had some tumultuous times at running back, losing Long last week. Keon Thompson comes back and is quickly lost again, and they had to go into emergency mode back there.
Right. They plug in Julian Wilson, and to his credit, he did really well. I think he had 35 yards on 4 carries, and he looked the part. But Andrew Long will be back. He just cramped up, but he kept being lost for the majority of the second half and almost all the fourth quarter because he kept cramping up. And then when Keon goes down with his knee injury, that made him, what do we do now? And so they put in Julian. Well, here's the thing. Julian did well at running back, but to do that, they took him off defense. They can't afford to do that against Bartlesville. They're going to have to keep him out there. So Andrew Long needs to not cramp up, which might be another good reason to open up the offense a little more instead of feeding him on counters so much.
Yeah, no kidding. So it should be an interesting game Friday night at Moore Stadium. Justin, thank you. Thank you for joining us, and check us out every day at newsok.com/varsity for the best high school coverage anywhere.